Do you reckon anything scares you?
Yeah.
See,
Like a snake.
no.
Yeah, that's such a New
That was the
Zealand
first thing.
comment.
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to my mind.
I mean, like in
business-wise.
regards to making decisions in the business space and like moving forward and starting something new, or fucking snake. We're just talking about how creative. We're talking about how creative he is, and he thinks there's the most narrow answer.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Soundboard. We're going to do something a little bit different here. Always joined by my co-host Jade Spooner. What's up?
What's up?
So today we're going to do something very different. Well, not very different, but we're just going to answer 10 of the best questions that we reached out to on Instagram. So we've got some pretty good questions.
Yeah, we've got some really good questions.
You pick 5, then I pick 5, and Jackson's going to hit us with the questions. So let's go.
Starting straight from the top. All right, Jade, how do you know what you're supposed to do with your life, and then how do you execute that?
I loved this question because it's two-dimensional. Hey, it's a bit of like business and process and like executing something, I guess, with like an end goal in mind. But then there's also a little bit of like a personal element. Like I remember when I first came into contact with what I do today, which is obviously facilitate body transformation plans, I really felt a sense of calling. Like it was a little bit of a personal journey as well. It was like I ran into something that I was highly, highly passionate about, and I just wanted to give what I received from my own service back to other people. So it's like two-dimensional.
Yeah. What was the question? Tim is listening.
How do you know what you're supposed to do with your life, and then it's kind of two-parter. How do you execute that?
So my one's probably a little bit different. I kind of reverse engineer of like, if I get to wake up and do whatever I wanted, what would that be? And then try and sort of monetize it off the back of that through internet. So me and you always talk about like we wake up in the morning excited, and we're both in that. So right now it's just coming to work and trying to build stuff that I'm passionate about and dream about, and right now it's clothing and content.
Because you were really attracted from the get-go to being self-employed, hey?
Yeah, that was the ultimate one. Like the thought of working for someone else made my stomach drop.
Yeah, see, I accidentally became self-employed. Like I found the passion before I found the process to become a business person.
Yeah.
So
if you look at mine's probably out of fair then, isn't it? If you really dig, like I didn't want to work for anyone else.
I mean, you like either way, you had a motive. Like we both had motives. They were just like somewhat a little bit different. But even going forth now, if I wasn't doing Evolution today, I wouldn't be working for anyone else. So you kind of have to really understand the concept of having your own business and being self-employed and being highly independent to know that the counter of that is just not for you, you know?
Agree. Next.
Isaac, how do you reset or keep going when you're just utterly off?
I got a theory of motivation. It's either a myth. It is a myth. It is a myth to me. You're either like, for me, I find business fun, you find business fun. So from an outsider looking in, it looks like we're actually motivated, but we're not. We're just doing something that we're passionate about or that we love. And the other people that actually look motivated are those that are super disciplined. So those that wake up every morning, it's raining outside, they're like, fuck it, I've written down that I'm going to go for a 5K run and I'm going to go do it. So anyone that's kind of lazy or feeling off and they see these types of people, they're either one, passionate about or love what they're doing, so they look motivated, and the other one is disciplined.
When you're self-employed, the discipline that you require to get up and give every day your absolute 100% is like so left of field to the ordinary person, because essentially right now, even if you wanted to take today off, if you wanted to reschedule this potty, tell the boys you're feeling a bit crook and not in, and if you wanted to go kick it in Bondi and just like go to a cafe, have a few beers, maybe like go out for dinner or something like that, you could do it. Like we're in positions now being self-employed that we could actually do that. But the opportunity cost of a day now is so much higher. Don't you reckon? So you have to be so disciplined.
I remember super early on, so like say like Chico and Corey would come in, like they'd come in, like sit on the couch, like, oh, let's go for a coffee, let's go for lunch. So that's 2-3 hours. And then one of the boys said one time, I don't feel like you really want us in the office. And I was like, oh.
And you're like, probably not.
What, do you want me to come to training and just fuck around while you're doing like work on the field? And so like the opportunity cost of that is actually getting work done. So if I'm fucking around for 3 hours, once you boys leave and go home and go sit on the couch, I have to make up that 3 hours. Yeah, and especially when you don't have staff early on, there's a massive cost for that as well.
So when you feel utterly off, which is absolutely so normal, hey, like you're a human. Like you go through ebbs and flows of high motivation, low motivation. But I think in times where you do go through that like little bit of a dip, I think a bit of self-love and care is super important. Like I've learnt to do things now that really fill up my cup. That's how I like to sort of put it. Like, you know, family time. I've spoken in recent potties, I love my golf, and I've gotten really into golf, and just like little therapeutic things that aren't necessarily work related, but you're just like sort of exercising a bit of like self-love and just re-energizing yourself to be able to go to work and give it your 100%, because if you don't give that 100%, or if you're just an absolute flop for a day, like we said, the opportunity cost is pretty high now, especially given the level that both of our businesses are at.
And like, you're spot on with that. So like, a lot of people that follow me know that I get up super early now, and that first 2 hours is just so I can have some time to myself, and like I just want to solve a couple problems, and and I don't get it perfect. Like, I rolled through this morning like fucking angry once I got here. That's what we're meant to start. We fucked up our show.
Oh, we did. We're going to do...
We'll do it now.
Yeah, we'll do...
Peaks and
so basically, just a little bit of background for everyone. So we started this because we were having these like super sharp conversations like in each other's offices, where we used to walk out like highly motivated, and we'd give each other value, and then we're like, why don't we turn this into a podcast and give back this value and like turn it into something? And now we're trying to like kind of find our feet with like a bit of a flow, a bit of structure.
It's actually Jackson's idea too.
Yeah, it was Jackson's idea. So like, give you guys a little bit of like an insight into like not only what's worked for us on a business front, but like a little bit of like personal insight as well. And one thing that I said to us this morning that we should do at the start of every show is a peak and a pit. So that's something that my family does. And for anyone that watches Keeping Up with the Kardashians, it's a Kardashian thing
is it?
too.
Yeah.
So basically, you highlight your highs, and then you tell your pits as well. And pits doesn't have to mean like you head down kicking stones. It might just be something that like maybe a learning of the week. So
I'll start. All right. So this happened today too, and all the boys have been in. They're all giggling now but it wasn't funny at the time. So I've come through the office, and like I just let Mellow in and I go for a coffee.
Yeah.
I do that every morning, and I come back and there's like alcohol, like beer, like leaking through one of the boxes and stuff, and food, and he was like licking it up.
Oh no,
so
Mellow's drunk.
So I walked through the fucking door, angry as, giving the boys a spray on the thing, but that was the pit. But the peak of it is like, I was so angry that I started to look at our whole business. I was like, oh shit, this hasn't been done. And then probably over the last 2 hours, it's been, even though we do a lot of content and stuff, these like real honest and real conversations, we've probably got more done in that 2 hours than I have in a long, long time. And I think everyone agrees. And even though it is fun and stuff to work around here, but right now it feels like, there's a weight off my shoulders, because there was stuff that was slipping and I was letting slip. But that, just seeing your dog getting drunk. really. And
your employees just like cheering him on, go Mellow. But no, honestly, something that you can take from that as well is, when you have your own business, like there's some really like, not your dog getting drunk, but on a grander scale, there's some really disastrous things that can happen that can actually transform internally and like you as a business person completely, just because something went ridiculously wrong.
Yeah, and then it actually turned out really, really great. Yeah. So like we've solved a couple problems in the space of
we've turned
hour and a half,
a pit into a peak. Love that.
Yeah. Tommy,
well,
yours.
My peak of the week, I actually got the bloody testimonial of doom this week. I had someone contact me, and dead set, I was reading this message. She DM'd me. I didn't actually, because I'm not super in touch with each client's journey in my business, just because we have so many now. But back in the day when Amal and I first started, we were on like first name basis with our clients. Like I could have told you that their kids and what they were up to on the weekend and whether they had a dine out meal, because we would have planned it already and all that kind of stuff. But now, because the girls are the nutrition coaches, I don't sort of have a lot of contact with my clients. But I had this one girl reach out, and dead set, I was just a sobbing mess. Like, she sent me a voice memo and she was crying, and she's lost, I feel emotional talking about it.
Yeah, I can sense
she's
it.
lost oh my God, you're not allowed to cry on podcasts. She lost 25 kilos, and she did it, oh my God, I'm going to cry. She did it right after her dad had passed away. And anyway, she was just saying to me that it's taken her about a year. And she said last year she was just in the absolute like darkness of depression. Her dad had just passed away, and she'd lost 25 kilos a year later. And Ecolution, she feels, is what brought her out of it. So I got that.
Cute.
Oh, I know. I was a bit of a mess. It's funny because I'm so in the like logistics and like marketing and everything is really strategic in my role.
Yeah.
Sometimes I fail to remember that we're actually a company that facilitates life changes for so many people. So it was really
You're
nice.
human.
Yeah. So it was like really nice to like get in touch with that. Pit of my week was, like all business people, we have to talk about strategy and, you know, we have accounting meetings and we have meetings that like are not fun. Like sometimes because you enjoy, and you would relate to this as well, because you enjoy what you do so much on a day-to-day basis, sometimes you forget that you got to get serious every now and again.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we had an accounting meeting and we were just sort of talking about like the foreseeable future and things like that. And, you know, budget plans and even things like exit strategies and stuff like that, like things that I don't think about because I'm so in the motions of doing what I love on a daily basis. So it's not a pit, but it's just like, it's just sad to think that change will happen one day. And like, it's not always like roll with the punches and like love what you do on a daily basis at some point or another. And you'd relate to this being like an entrepreneur that you get hungry for like other things. So, you know, the future looks like there might be some change and talking about it's healthy.
Change is good.
Change is good, but talking about it is it's healthy, but I'm a highly emotional person, as we know. So
yeah, we had our accounting meeting today too. Yesterday. So I don't know.
Do you like getting involved in the numbers?
I love seeing it like when it's
going up.
45. Yeah. Obviously when you got to pay your tax bills as well, it's just kind of like, oh shit, but obviously that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
My dad always says that. My dad, because I often complain about my tax bills because they're just fucking ridiculous. But Dad's like, Jade, you got to make money to pay taxes, so you must be making money. So that's a privilege.
And then the funny thing was like looking at our tax bill, and then we look in the account, and you've got more than enough to pay for it. Like, it feels good.
That's comfortable. Yeah.
So you don't put anyone in your business under stress.
Yeah, so true. Because we all know that when you're stressed, it projects onto others.
No.
I'm looking at you.
Fuck, you should see you wouldn't. I haven't been this angry in a long time. I'm fucking like kick this.
So was this morning?
Yeah. I don't know why. I just come through heated.
Yeah, you probably just. It's there's a lot of things happening at the moment. Yeah. For you, there's a lot of stress. Yeah.
All right. Question number 4.
Yeah, that's peaks and pits. That's
peaks.
Soundboard's answer to Gratefuls. I like it. Rolling back into the questions, Jade, you kind of briefly touched on it then, but what are your goals and then exit plans?
Yeah, so in terms of exit plans, I think just given the fact that I have like a business partner, it is going to be dependent in the future on, you know, where we both stand as a duo. Like the one thing is like, even if, not that I'm in this category at all, but even if things, you know, come to a head and they end really sour, like I was listening to the Puma and Adidas story this week, the brothers that just went separate ways. I didn't know. That was very interesting. But even when things get like hot and nasty and go in a way that you like never expected, I think, you know, like you always have to have that mutual respect for where you started as a duo, or however many business partners are in there. So in the context of an exit strategy for me, it's definitely not something that I've like engineered thus far, but it would always be in consideration of Amal and, you know, where she stands and what she wants and all that kind of stuff. So personal goals, I'm now of the mindset, which I didn't have years ago, but I do have now as like more of a developed business person, that I think you can have your hand in a few different pies.
Yeah, of course.
Like I used to be like, Equolution was my one and only, but now I think, you know, even doing things like this with you, and now I get hit up all the time for like help with other businesses and stuff like that. I do believe that if you're good with your time, you can actually sort of like spread your wings a bit.
And most business people sort of follow that progression, don't they? Like they build a business, kind of exit it, and they sort of move into that sort of consulting space or start to acquire other businesses.
Yeah, and if you talk to any of like the real big dogs, like even people that are in like private equity firms and stuff like that, they'll say, oh, I've got, you know, shares in this business and I'm the CTO for this. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, it's not uncommon to have like a couple of businesses. You've just got to make sure that like, if you're in partnership with someone, that it is in alignment with what you both expect from one another, and it doesn't take away from maybe like your bread and butter business. Like I would never do anything that would jeopardize Equolution. And same with you, probably with YKTR.
Yeah.
But in terms of like goals, I would definitely like to like broaden my horizons, and I'm just so. I can swear, yeah. I've probably sworn so much.
It's your show, mate.
It's my show. I am so fucking passionate about health, fitness, wellness. Like and what that looks like to me now has changed a lot from what it used to look like. Like I used to think that health was what you ate. Yeah. And I used to think it was aesthetic. But now, you know, as like a growing business person and someone that's become just a little bit more in tune with not only like myself and what's worked for me, but also like just humanity in general. Like when you work in business, you understand people a lot more. I've now learnt that there's so many more dimensions to wellness. It's a web, right? So in terms of like my future goals, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity in that space for me.
Exciting. Yeah. In terms of exit, I don't really have I've got they say you should have a number in mind. Yep. I've got the number, but I don't really have the strategy to get me towards that just yet. I don't feel like I really need to. So we talk about this a lot. So there's kind of two ways that you can build a business. You can build a business and it makes money and you get a clip out of it. Every dividend payout, however you want to pay that, or you tip all your money back in and try and scale it out as big as possible. And in my accounting meeting, they were sort of asking that conversation of like, do you want to be as big as possible or do you want to have a really cool lifestyle and stuff like that? So I'm more inclined to sort of lifestyle. I'm more inclined to that, like the way I build businesses is like, fuck, I just want to help as many people as possible. And I want my staff to feel like they're like wanted and needed and they've got pathways to grow as well. And that's what makes me happy. So my goals are sort of not always based around myself. It's more so like, oh shit, how can I help this crew do pretty cool things?
Others, And you know what you learn as well? So much of being a good business person is also being a really in tune and like stable person yourself. Like if you sort of have all your ducks aligned and you've got like, you know, a healthy routine and like, you know, you've got a really good mindset and you have, you know, good intentions and you're a good person. That really seeps into your business journey as well. Like people sniff from a mile away, people that are off or they've got bad intent or they're just mentally a little bit all over the place because they make erratic decisions in business and stuff. So I think I would say I became a lot better business person when I became a lot better person in general. Not that I was usually
the case.
But like not that I was ever like off or anything like that, but I just kind of feel healthy now. Like I have a really good balance in my life and a good routine and stuff like that, and it allows me to walk into work and sort of execute that in another way.
And me and you talk about like leadership on one-on-one conversations, and we sort of narrow it down to like there's two types of leaders, one that are trying to inspire others and then ones that are trying to control others. So I think I know where both of us sort of sit on that sort of side of it as well.
A really good example. So at the moment, our clientele have grown, and we've also had a few staff members resign as well. So we're understaffed and we've got a fair few clients. So yesterday I jumped in with the girls and I was a nutrition coach yesterday, which like we know I love. It's like back to what I know from, you know, when I first started the business. But I think as a leader, it's really important to not be above and beyond any of the tasks that happen in the business, because at the end of the day, you've kind of got to think of it like it's a pool of work and you're in it together as a team. Doesn't matter if you're a bloody CEO or it doesn't matter if you're, you know, an employee.
And I think sometimes they forget like you had to do all those roles to get to the
get
point.
There, yeah.
So a lot of the times I'll see you in the office and I'm like, oh fuck, what are you doing in there? Yeah.
And I was even thinking yesterday when I was driving home from work, I'm sure that would have been really healthy for the team to have me in the head count and like, you know, we're talking about like, you know, different clients and putting things on their plan and like who lost what weight, and I was in it with them and that it would have been positive for the overall like just the environment, I guess.
Sick.
Isaac, business partner or board disagreements, how do you resolve these, or just differences of opinion when it comes to your team?
We have two very different answers here. Like even though I've got business partners, like I pretty much run the ship.
Perhaps maybe the latter would probably be more relevant to you. Differences of opinion within your team.
So we sort of.
Do you guys ever clash on ideas or like even the product? Like, do you ever go, "Oh, guys, this is sick," and like Corey's like, "Man, that is rank, and I'm not putting it on my body."
That's just Corey in general.
No, but like, do things like that ever happen, or do you ever put content out there and Chico's like, why did you guys put that post up?
I think early on,
stuff like that happen?
Early on we definitely did, but like I think sort of once you start to get runs on the boards, they sort of trust in everything that you do. But like I used to say to Corey, I was like I need like a solution. Like you're telling me a problem, but what's the solution? So he'd never give me a solution. He'd tell me what the problem was. He goes, "Oh, I don't like that color." So, all right, cool, give me another colour. I don't like that font. All right, go find me another font. And kind of when you put it back on them, it doesn't usually get done, or in my circumstance anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in our business, even though I've got business partners, like I make the decisions across everything. But what I do build out trust with the staff down below. So like Jackson's got a role, Lukey's got a role. I don't try and micromanage them. Like I'll set directions. So if you think of a scale of 1 to 10, like I want to be involved at 1, 5 and 10. So 1 would be like, oh, here's the designs or the idea that I want to go with. Jackson will go make a mood board, and then he'll come back to me at 4 or 5. And then once he gets parts to this certain point, like I'll clear it, then it goes to Luke. So I try and build, I don't really talk about that too much, but in my mind, that's how I sort of map out how it works. And while they've got 2 to 4, that they can have creative freedom.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it.
I think where it can get a little bit messy, and I've actually experienced this firsthand, is just a bit of a grey area with role clarity.
Yeah.
So one thing that's happened to Amal and I in the last couple of years is we've gone from a manual online coaching business to a tech company. And in doing so, we've completely like changed our platform to now all in app. So we kind of made, I guess, like an executive decision that marketing decisions, the vocals of the business, the copy, the content, all that kind of stuff was going to be me. And then the tech product was going to be her. But
at what point of staff? Is that like 10?
Like that it got to that point.
Yeah.
It
was that pretty early on or what?
Well, basically what was happening was, so we had 8 full-time developers, and then we had our nutrition coaches, the graphics and all that kind of stuff internally. So they just kind of like really naturally separated in role.
Cool. Yeah.
They probably could have had a little bit of better talking to one another, because I do think that product and customer service go hand in hand.
They do, yeah,
like it's really important. But then we kind of had this like unsaid kind of like agreement between Amal and I that tech was her and marketing and the rest.
Why was it unsaid? Like
it was just kind of like
just the way it sort of flowed.
You couldn't have too many captains and not enough sailors. It would just be like a total mess. And also as well,
all charts are important though. Once you start to get out to a certain level,
massively. And that's only been a recent thing that 7 years into business. We've only just started doing org charts, and I think org charts are also really important for your team as well, because one thing that I've learned is that career progression for employees is really important. Like you as a founder can get really caught up in the day-to-day, because essentially every day, and you'd probably agree with this, you kind of feel like you make progress, whether they're baby steps or whether they're big milestones. Every day, if you're showing up and if you're putting in the work, your business is benefiting, and you see that, but the staff might not see that. They might get in the motion of just sort of like being quite repetitive in their roles and stuff like that. So things like being quite transparent in the milestones and the wins of the company, as well as like an org chart in terms of where they can move to and where there's opportunity in the business, I think is really important for morale.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's really important for morale. But in terms of me and Amal and I's role, it was just kind of something that just really naturally happened, that probably should have been solidified a little bit earlier, that like you take care of this and then you take care of this. So that way there's no crossover and someone just has the exec final say when it comes to their departments.
So when you look at our business, we'd obviously move towards that. But right now, it's such a random, like what have you done? You've had about 3 to 4 different jobs across different like businesses, like Jackson.
Yeah.
Like he's looking for furniture. He's doing mood boards for the clothing side. We're doing planning meetings for events. Like, it's such a random job, eh?
Yeah, well, I think as well, a lot of that like role definition becomes more consistent with a bit of business maturity too. So I remember like in the first 1 to 4 years, like everyone was just doing whatever the fuck they could do to get all the work done. Just tick those boxes and make it happen. But then now later on, we've got a little bit more role definition, and then you have departments come into play as well.
Yeah.
We didn't even have a marketing department, and we were sort of coming into our 7th year. We didn't even have a marketing department. So now we've got, and hiring seniors too. So back in the day, a lot of our staff were juniors, which are great because the vibe was good, the culture was good, the enthusiasm was there, yes. But in bringing in seniors, you bring in experience and you bring in structure. And one thing that I've learnt as well from Bree, my executive assistant, is she came from a corporate environment. So some things like she'll draw on her experience. She'll be like, oh, when I was at X previous job, they used to do it like this, and meanwhile, like, oh yeah, cool, like, because we've never done this before, like, we're first time business owners, so some things happen more structurally and more like formalized, like as you get older in your business.
Yeah, and I think like with leadership, I think when people come to you, they kind of just want a yes or no, like not yes or no answer, but with an explanation behind. So I've had like 6 meetings this morning, and it's just gone like we can nail them out off the back of experience, and that's where leadership comes into. Like, nah, that won't work. Let's do this instead.
Yeah. And you get better at being quite decisive in that. Like, I remember back in the day, like, a decision could mean, like, literally having, like, head noise and a total debate with yourself on, like, yeah, but then what if this happens and then what if that happens? But these days, there's no time for that. You kind of just have to, and intuition too, you just marry the two.
Yeah, I'd just rather say it, and if I fuck up, I'll say, hey, put that back on me.
Exactly.
You can move a lot quicker.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, next one.
Jade, what has been your biggest turning point in your business career?
Biggest turning point.
One moment,
going tech.
Is this my question?
Yeah.
I think this is Madison's question.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, cute.
I love you, Maddie. You were my turning point, darling girl. No, Maddie's one of my best staff. I adore her.
Female Lukey.
Yeah, little Lukey in Evolution. My biggest turning point was definitely moving to the tech space. So turning our service into a mobile app was an absolute game changer for us on a few different fronts. The first one was it bettered the user experience. So they didn't have to log on to Facebook and receive a PDF from Amal and I's messenger.
Oh, yeah, sorry, just to cut you off, I was just thinking of that. We sold our first couple T-shirts via email. Like, if you want to buy a T-shirt, email me.
Yeah, see, it's so funny how it evolves. It's so funny. But yeah, no, we were the same. So we used to send everything via Facebook Messenger, and Facebook actually cut us off from creating new chats because when we got over 1,000 clients or something like that, we were starting to be recognised as spam. So we had like Jade Spooner 2 on Facebook, Amal Wakim 2 on Facebook, and we had all these chats happening. So when we turned what was a really ridiculous process for the client into an app form, it way bettered the user experience. It scaled us, and it also was just like a way to, I guess, just excite your audience. Like we've put in some groundwork, we've listened to you guys, and here's something that we think you're going to love. That was our turning point.
Biggest turning point. I think we started vlogging. I think that really took us off because no one was really doing it at the time, and it's pretty much the core business model of what we do, everything around YKTR and YKTR sports. So
did you ever get disheartened when you're vlogging? Like back in the day when you probably had not as many people engaged in your content, when you were seeing things like, I don't know, maybe like 300 odd views, were you like, what's the fucking point? Like what kept you going?
I remember like I was listening to this podcast one time and the guy goes, if you make it to I don't know why he said 76, like 76 like podcasts or vlogs, that's when you start to really notice. And I remember making the 76 one and like nothing really happened too much more, but we were still going all right by then. But I was like, in my mind, I was like, this is going to take off now. Yeah. It just never really did, and sort of learn about content. It moves pretty quickly. So it's so random. Yeah.
And now we're really fortunate to be in the day and age where like YouTube content can be clipped and then put onto Instagram as well, and then made into reels, and then
it's been my biggest education. Yeah. So like we make a fuckload of content here now, but like I'll still set the direction, I'll still oversee it, and a lot of the time I'll do the final cut on it as well. Obviously I trust the boys on most of it, but I do like to see most of it out as well. So and it's a skill set that you've got for the rest of your life. Yeah, because you can kind of picture content like how it's going to start, middle, and finish.
It's a creative kind of visionary thing. Cool.
But that was the biggest part. We grew off the back of that.
Yeah.
Oh, learning how to Facebook advertise, spend money.
Turning point. That kind of rolls a little bit into the next question. What's more important for a startup, Isaac, managing costs or growing profits? Tough question.
Depends on the business.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Obviously, like both. I think a lot of people don't really understand profits early on, so I'd say managing costs if I had to pick one out of the two. For example, clothing, like a lot of people go in and spend like 20K on, but they haven't done any like market research, or they don't have a market, so
they don't even understand the margin.
Yeah, they like I talk to people now and they don't understand what their profit margin in clothing should be. So I'll definitely say managing costs, and what I mean by that is like instead of buying 100 t-shirts, buy 10.
Yeah. I agree.
Start a small business, start a Shopify business or something really, really easy. You just didn't go into Evolution. You were trying to flip fucking gym flies, weren't you? You're stealing gym clients.
No, my first... That's a laugh. So I was just a bit of a hustler. My very first business, it wasn't anything that was like serious or there was a future in it. It was just accidental. So basically, I used to be a promotional girl for an agency. I used to get like a truckload of work from like different sorts of brands. One of my fun gigs was something like I did this photo shoot for Lipton Iced Tea where they wrapped me in like all these, like I was in like a green like bodysuit with like all these vine leaves, and I had to like pose with the product, and it was like $350 an hour.
Rouse.
It was really good money. And then there were other smaller jobs where like I got hired by Anytime Fitness to hand out flyers in St Leonard's, like on the street, like 7-day free trial, 7-day free trial, 7-day free trial, like one of those that you probably now like, please just let me go to work. So I was one of those girls. And then I, in the office that afternoon of my first shift, I said to the owner of the Anytime Fitness Club, I said, if you don't mind me asking, you don't need to tell me. I said, but what are you paying my agency an hour for me? Because I was just curious. And he said $68 an hour. And I was getting 25. Margin of doom. Like, I was like, holy smoke, you're kidding. I said, listen, can I cut you a deal? I said, I'll get you hot birds, and enthusiastic ones will do exactly the same thing that you're paying for me, and I'll do it at $40 an hour. And he said, done deal. So I got together like a few of my friends and girls from that I went to school with and mates and whatnot, and I had them on. I was charging him $40 an hour, and I was paying the girls $20 an hour. So I was making $20 an hour as a clip from each of the girls, and I would just manage their shifts like a roster on a weekly basis.
That's a hustle, all right.
Yeah,
that was my first business, and it didn't like fail or anything. It was just like an accidental thing. And then from there, he had other friends that owned Anytime Fitnesses, and he's like, oh, could you do this for the owner of the Wynyard Gym and the Neutral Bay Gym and the Milsons Point Gym? And then all of a sudden I was managing like 7 gyms with like 20 promotional staff and making $20 an hour off each of the girls. That's how I got my first boob job.
So minimising costs, I think that's the answer to it. You get boob jobs.
Yeah, I forgot the question, but there was a lot of knowledge in that.
There'll be like half a dozen promotional agencies that'll get birthed off their back into this podcast.
Yeah, it's cool.
Isaac, someone asked, my family have just set up a business. Is it better to jump in with them or start my own thing?
Oh, it depends if you want to do exactly what they want to do. So it might be the easiest way to go into it. I don't know. It depends what your passion is.
Follow-up question, business with family in general, yes or no?
My sister's my first employee and probably one of my most passionate and enthusiastic. It obviously comes with its...
What was if your dad ran a business? Would you just roll straight into that?
It depends
on what it is.
I'm not the type of person, and actually I feel like there's 2 schools of people. There's some people that would stand in shit to get paid, and that's fine. They might not be passionate about it. Whereas there's other people that would rather, do a slow burn, slog it out, earn their stripes and do something that they absolutely spring out of bed every morning for. I was that person. So if my parents had a business that gave me that satisfaction, potentially, I wouldn't care if it was started by my parents. It's not like that's an ego thing. If you're like, oh, I don't want to work for my parents. If you're passionate about what they do, then by all means go ahead. But I just think passion is key. You've got to get up. You're getting up every single day to go to this thing, to do this thing that's going to be your life. Yeah. Got to have a passion.
If your dad's Jerry Lorenzo, you're probably going to work with Fair God, aren't you?
I'd do it.
Yeah.
Isaac, what have been your proudest moments thus far as a business owner?
I think, like, I've talked about this plenty of times. Like, obviously we just sell clothing, but the reaction that people get off the back of that when it's like essentially a piece of cotton sewn in a certain way with holes in it that you can wear. And like that girl sort of crying made me feel good. We've had a bunch of DMs. Some of the best feelings I've got are people that have contemplated suicide and message me and go like, it's probably got nothing to do with running a business, but as a byproduct of it. I think hiring people feels cool.
Hiring people feels really good, and also just like seeing happiness in your workplace. Like I have a similar feeling when I come down here to your workspace that I have in my own.
Oh, you get nothing done.
No, I was just like, everyone's happy to be there. Like some of my staff have been with me since day dot, and that says volumes for the type of culture and workplace. And it's like, when they started with us, it was a startup. Everything when you're a startup is a total mess. Like, so for someone to believe in you when you've got, no strikes on the board or like, and then to follow through all the highs and lows, like that's a credit to, what you're trying to do as a business person. I think
everyone in life wants to believe in something, whether they believe in religion or they believe in a sports team. They just want to get behind something, and sometimes it's your workplace as well. So if you can provide that, it's pretty cool. Yeah,
I think it's been really cool hiring people. Obviously, seeing the impact. I'm in a very emotionally driven service. Have you
had anyone they've been such a great employee that they've been headhunted into another position, or would that be sad for you, or would you be happy for them, or what?
I've been headhunted.
Yeah.
I got a really attractive offer a couple of years ago by a very popular health and fitness brand, and obviously it wasn't tempting, but it's a cool feeling, none of my staff, but I mean, we're pretty quiet in terms of like who does what in the business as well. Like, when we put comparison photos on Instagram and whatnot, you wouldn't know that it's Maddie that's photoshopping them and stuff like that. So I'm sure if like there was a little bit more insight as to who's responsible for what, like, how everyone knows sort of like with the
boys,
with the boys, like what they're
Luke is a rock star up in Brazil.
Luke's a rock star, exactly. Luke, do you want to work for Evolution?
He might after this morning.
So no, nothing like that has happened internally, but it's been really cool providing opportunities for our staff and like also seeing them grow as well.
But obviously that what you talked about earlier about that that chick whose dad passed away. Yeah,
like the testimonials and the impact that our service has had on clients has been like it fills my heart so much. Like a weight loss journey is a mind, it's a body, it's a soul transformation. So
what you sort of realize is like, and as you get a little bit more successful, everyone's sort of listening, like if you had a bunch of money here and that's kind of testimonial, fuck, that testimonial feels so much better.
It does.
A chunk of cash coming in. Obviously, you can do a bit more for a chunk of cash. Yeah. We ain't going to deny that. But in terms of how you feel chemically from your inside, fuck.
Amal and I have always said we never started this for the money. We started this because we believed in it. And
that's why you made money. Yeah.
It's really important. And in terms of a highlight as a business person, like the actual businesses side and the clients side and the team side, the Forbes 30 under 30, I will never be the same person ever again after that, because that was huge. Yeah, like Doozy. That was like one of those like, I'm just a girl from Menai, like that sort of moment.
We made it.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Jade, question for you. Oh, get the camera on you. What has impressed you most when interviewing potential applicants, or what impresses you most when interviewing potential applicants?
Think about a job interview as a date, right? So there are certain people that look at like, I guess the check boxes. I'm personally not one of them. For me, it's all about the energy.
You look at like university degrees or anything? Yeah.
To a certain degree, I have to for dietitians and nutritionists. Oh, okay, yeah. Just to do my duty of care.
Just some random person rolling through giving out.
Yeah. So that has its time and place, but some of the best ways that people have got a foot in the door at Evolution is sending me a DM on Instagram and saying, I followed your journey since day dot. I absolutely look up to you girls, idolize what it is that you do, and I would just love the opportunity to show you how I can contribute to your business.
Love that.
And I'm like, marry me.
You're understaffed at the moment too, aren't you?
Yeah, I know. Slide into my DMs.
I've never really interviewed someone, so I've kind of just been lucky. But the guys have kind of figured me out, but very similar. Like they've just sort of worked hard, and I've gone, these guys are too good to ignore.
Yeah.
Even Caleb, the intern, I didn't realise that he'd actually sent through.
I love him.
Yeah, he'd actually sent through like a C. What did he send through, bro? He sent through like a deck.
Yeah, with all his photography stuff, I'm like, oh, mate, obviously you wear YKTR, you're on brand. Send us through a few of your photos, and I'll see if you can do a shoot for us.
Yeah, and did he send that to you? Did that come to me, or did I? Oh shit!
And didn't you both of you two do something very similar? You kind of like.
Yeah, they both kind of messaged me around the same time, but just doing different things. And
yeah.
kind of just work for free for a start. So.
Impress the boss. Good strategy, boys.
Yeah. Done well.
Yeah, but no, I don't. Even in terms of resume, like Bree does her due diligence and just prints it out so it sits in front of me. So I've got
you look professional.
So I look professional and whatnot. But if it's an energy game for me, you can.
Energy's important, eh?
It's so important, and also I think cultural fit is also really important too. So you kind of get that from someone's energy. You're able to piece together how they would best fit into your team and whether it will ultimately work out.
It's funny that you say that. One of the best things I learned about sports is like the best person in the team wasn't always the best person for the team. So they could be the best player, the most skilled, highest paid. But if they controlled the weight of the change room and it went against the team culture, fucks the whole thing. Like the apple rots from the inside out.
Yeah.
So if you get those types of people in your environment, get them out pretty quick.
I also kind of think about like, do you remember when you were in high school and whatnot, and you always had like your school captains and your prefects, and like they weren't necessarily the smartest kids in the room. They weren't the ones that were academically always getting like the straight A's and whatnot, but they just had a little something about them. Yeah. And I think they're the impactful people.
Is it charisma?
Think
charismatic?
So. Yeah, I think so.
Be charismatic, you'll get hired.
Yeah, and it's just sort of like a little bit of thinking outside of the box. I think you've really got to distinguish also the role before you hire it. Like if you're hiring a creative, you need someone that's a bit vibey, a little bit, got something extra about them, and they give you kind of maybe even a left of field answer that you're like, oh, they think differently. I like how they think. But then if you've got like a process person, like for example, a coder, like so I'm in the tech space, so someone that's coding and app developing, you want to see their work that they've done previously.
You want them to be a straighty, eh?
Yeah, a little bit.
Last question, guys. As a business person, Isaac, what do you feel are your biggest strengths and weaknesses?
I think I'm a really good communicator. I think I can get people up, going and about and making them feeling good about themselves and heading towards a general direction.
Is that what happened this morning?
Yeah. But I feel like I'm a really good communicator.
No, you are.
What was the other part?
Weaknesses.
Probably organisation.
Yeah.
I sort of lean on Jackson for a lot of things now. Like we don't got gas at home at the moment, so we've got cold showers. So I'm just not organised. So. We're just having cold showers at the moment, me and Zane. And then I'm going to Zane, fucking organise it.
Need a PA.
Yeah, I got a PA. It's too far.
Yeah. My strengths are I really understand people. Like I don't know what it is, but there's just,
emotional intelligence.
Yeah, I just really understand people and psychology, and that makes me a really good marketer. Like I'm able to communicate a message.
I think we'll just gas ourselves up here. I think I'm quite creative.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. But we both kind of have that, whatever that thing is. That thinking a little bit differently.
I think we both have
curiosity.
Both got balls.
Yeah. Yes. 100.
It sounds a bit weird. We both got balls to actually try something. You know what I mean? So.
Do you reckon anything scares you?
Yeah.
See.
Like a snake.
No.
That's such a New Zealand comment.
That was the first thing that comes to my mind.
I mean, like in regards to making decisions in the business space and like moving forward and starting something new, or fucking snake. We're just talking about how creative. We're talking about how creative he is, and he thinks there's the most narrow answer.
The most Kiwi answer.
Yeah, literally.
Well, if a snake was out, like Jade, I'd throw you in front of the snake to keep myself safe.
Great.
So I don't really fear failure, but imagine like the thought of going like, oh, fuck YKTRs, and then let your stuff go.
Okay, say YKTR goes into administration tomorrow. The day after that, would you be fearful to get up, go again?
No.
I feel like that sort of like confidence together with a bit of a lack of fear is a bit of a skill set that like a lot of business owners have.
Yeah.
I've been looking into Elon Musk a lot lately, not for any other reason other than I just
fucking up my crypto. That's what he's doing.
Doge bounced back today, 11%. Doge.
Oh, really?
That's his coin now.
Yeah.
For no other reason other than I like the way he thinks, and the bloke's not scared of anything. Like he was talking about how at one point he had I think 30 or 40 million bucks, and he had the option to put it into one business and the other one might fail, and he split them, and like just like listening,
like SpaceX and
Tesla. He was just talking about that, but like those sorts of like gambles and risk factors, I think a lot of entrepreneurs just don't have any concept of it's never going to be okay. Like they always know that there's something will work out, and they have like a faith in themselves to like go forward. So I think confidence is a bit of almost like a skill. But for me personally, I would say like my main skill is like I really understand people a lot.
Weakness?
My weakness is I'm probably too emotional at times, which in business it's like a really good thing to extract.
I agree with that emotion thing.
Yeah. You saw me cry for the first time this week. I came down to the office and like, but it's hard. It's hard not to, because I would never want to lose that either. You know, like as much as it's a weakness, in some respects, I don't ever want to get to a point where I'm like
with the robot,
super successful and like dehumanized a little bit. Like if I had to like cut a job or something like that, like if that didn't hurt me, I'd be concerned. Yeah. You know?
And we'll finish off here. Soundboard listeners, hot tip. Jade, we'll go to you first. Something in the business space. Just one little hot tip. Takeaway for the listeners.
Little hot tip of the week was I've been getting hit up with a lot of business ideas. Like a lot of people have been saying like,
what's the right way to approach it?
A lot of people have been saying like, I've got this idea. And
a clothing brand.
Yeah. I want to be
that's one
JKTR. I've had a lot of people slide into my DMs, which I love, guys, by the way. Anytime you want some help, just, holler, let me know. I've had a lot of people approach me with ideas, and they've done nothing to date to validate that idea. So my tip of the week would be, if you have an idea, just put the feelers out there. And it's like saying I want to find a husband but not going on a single date.
Yeah, I'll sort of back that up as well. Probably the biggest lesson the boys have learned lately is like come with a plan. Like don't just always come asking for shit. Like
come with a pitch deck on why you should go to Brisbane.
Yeah, I think that's, and you're probably gonna get more yeses. And if you're planned out, it shows the person that you're actually serious about what you want to do. Yeah, like I want to start a business. Like, what do you want to do? Like I don't know. Like you're wasting people's time. So.
Can I have another tip?
It's your show. You can do whatever you want.
Okay, thanks. Find a companion in business, and it really helps. Like you have honestly just been I feel like for each other we've been like a bit of a saving grace at times. Like it's just having someone to talk to that gets you is so good. Like it's so beneficial, because even if for example you're in business and you have a partner, like so many people I feel like would get themselves in hot water, like coming home and just talking about work and all their doomsdays to their partner. It's like kind of like keep that a little bit separate, and like have someone that's like your support person that you can talk about kind of like anything with as well.
Way to fuel the relationship. Questions. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Hit us up next week. Really enjoyed this.
Yeah, this was a
Q&A is fun.
Q&A was fun.
But yeah, Jackson's going to build some structure out for us over the next week or two, and we'll keep these going. Thanks for jumping on.
And any ideas, holla. Let us know. Comments below.
Chat, anything.
Come off a deck. You're about to jump on Jordan's room now too, eh? So
yeah.
Going to switch it up. Take the business hat on.
Business hat off and
chill vibe.
Relationship gal on.
All right, guys. Later.